It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should separate, go your own way, I won't wait.
Bring the funk back.
Oh, here we are, another night. It is Chewin The Fat with the Cap. I'm back. Tonight we have Matthew Langford on for a good old chinwag. So I always have good support when Langers comes on. You know that he's always there to answer all your questions. So if you do have any questions, make sure you pop them into the comments so we can get to them, because this is a live show and it is all about you guys and what you want to know and what you want to learn. Of course, we've got plenty of people on already. Nothing mustn't be anything on TV tonight. So I'll just go through: Daniel, Christy, Elion, Scott, David, Bailey, Daniel, Andrew, Allison. We got Val, we got Andrew, Nevin, Jeff, Mick. Oh, they're forever and it just keeps getting better. So yes, postcodes in. Make sure you got your postcodes in. You can see Harry's in the comments there. He will pick out a postcode winner for tonight through some random thing. But and we also have Harry's box later on to see who wins that. You have to be on to win Harry's box, and you have to have asked a question, of course. So make sure you get those questions in as well as your postcodes. But listen, I'm going to have to get the guy on and we're going to have to talk because we know that he answers the questions really well. So it doesn't take long to get through an hour when Matty's on the show, that's for sure. So I'll get him on right now and we better have a chat. G'day, Matty. How you going?
Oh, it is me.
Yes, no, definitely you. No tricks tonight. I've got nothing planned for you. I know Kony's probably been in the background stirring you up and whatnot. I thought we'd just go straight into just being normal tonight.
Thanks for that. That's good. Relieves a bit of pressure. He makes you worry, that fella, I tell you.
He does, and he's always good to hang around with because he does make us worry and have a bit of fun. And I know that we've both been got by him, and he's probably been got by both of us. So it's all in good fun, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, mate, on behalf of everyone that watches the show, you're one of our best guests. You come on a lot, and we love having you on the show. But I do have to say congratulations to you and the family. You put the news out this week. It was really cool to hear the news. So another member to the family coming along.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We sort of kept it under wraps for a fair while. We got another one coming along. Nettie's doing really well, and she's looking real good at the moment, actually. Yeah, so she's 20 weeks, and we're excited. Amelia's keen on being a big sister, and William's pretty excited too. Got another brother or sister coming along, so
yep.
Yeah, no, thank you, appreciate it.
No, awesome. And as I said, we've had a little bit of a chat off air, but the old wham, it has to be a Y at the end to make it the whammy. So we've got a William, Amelia, Annette, Matthew, and it has to be a Y to make it whammy. So that's what I've seen for sure. Hey, there's plenty of comments coming up, and we will get to the comments, but we do have a close personal friend that we another guest of the show, been on a few times. Mick himself is doing great things up there. I can remember when he first started and wanting to get into the bass scene, he was a bit unsure of himself, and we had a couple of beers around a campfire at Boondoma and had a bit of a chat and got him sort of motivated, and he got into it. He's having a sterling year this year, sitting third AIY, I believe, at the moment, and realistically, any other year without you and Kony having the years that you guys are having, he'd be leading AIY right now with what he's on.
Yeah, definitely. I've noticed with Mick, I've seen Mick develop over the last few years, and one big thing is your confidence. And once you know where you belong, you start fishing without any dramas and fish with a lot of confidence. And Mick's right in the zone at the moment. He's definitely one of the best bass anglers in the country right now, and he's found his feet and he's really consistent. So to be competitive in the series we've got happening at the moment, there's a lot of really good anglers there, and it's really good to see Mick fishing well. And he's a close friend of ours as well. Me, Mick, Kony, Timmy, yourself, we all, camp together and hang out, and it's just good to see pretty much everyone as a whole in the group fishing well, be full of confidence, and just really enjoying what they're doing, which is great.
Yeah, I think at this stage, obviously there's still one comp to go, but at this stage, I think everyone is in the top 10. So from our camping group, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's good.
So I did want to, I sort of a lead in. Mick's got his fishing on song, but he's also got what he's doing business wise on song as well. So being in the humble little town of Chinchilla up there, there's not a lot goes on in the sleepy little hollow, but Mick's been able to transform his business and take just M&J Auto Elec and expand it out to this, for Chinchilla, we'll call it bigger than Ben-Hur business happening up there, where he's dabbling in a lot of different bits and pieces. He's gone into the boat, so he's doing repairs, he's doing trailer stuff. He's really expanded that business immensely in the last couple of years. But one of the things he's taken on board, and developed is the new live site pole that he's got. Now, I've got some photos that you've been able to send me, but you've been running the pole. Tell us a little bit about it. I'll bring it up on the screen.
Yeah, so just in general, I guess with Mick and M&J Auto Solutions over there, like you said, he's a qualified auto electrician, refrigeration, air cons, all that sort of stuff. But Mick's very good at what he does, and he's obviously gone into the marine side of things. And Mick's he's a very innovative sort of guy. He puts a lot of thought into things. He's very, very thorough. Which is a quality you don't find all the time nowadays with mechanics and marine servicing. But just the stuff that he does, with my boat, with the servicing and that sort of stuff. But in particular, the live pole, he's put a lot of thought into it, and he's been able to adapt it to suit not only one type of electric motor. He's got them to fit Lowrance. Lowrance, Ghost, Garmin, Force, and some of the Minn Kotas as well. So, yeah, it's basically an electric head with a bracket, with a pole to mount your LifeScope transducer on, and he's got a bracket to suit pretty much any electric motor that you've got. And basically, to if he sends it out to you, basically it's 5 bolts and a little bit of wiring, and pretty much you've got it set up. Obviously, he can install it as well, but very, very innovative. And when you're trying to problem solve being anglers, we always talk about not liking the hand poles, etc. We're trying to stay ahead of the game and just make sure that we're trying to, Mick especially, is trying to develop products that basically are easy for anglers to use. And there's so many things he's thinking about, but yeah, the live pole's definitely one of those things that's made a difference.
Yep. So we had to do the shout out. We had to give Mick the shout out because you're running the pole. So yeah, if anyone wants to ask questions, obviously they can send them to you. But it's M&J Auto Solutions. You can contact him through Facebook or Instagram, and Mick will get onto you for all of that sort of stuff. So good shout out there for Mick. We've got to do the right thing because he is doing great things up there. We do have lots of questions coming in, which we will get to in a minute. But I do want to talk Kenya. Obviously, there's just been the Queensland teams event Paul Allwood runs up at Kenya. And it fished kind of tough. Now, I got a smirk on my face already because I want to talk to you about this one here because obviously, we've talked about on the show before about the AIY standings, how close it is. Mick's now officially ruled out of the race. He's just been too consistent, so he's got nothing to really, 2 points or something he can make up by having a win. So he can't take over you. But it's between you and Kony at the top there. Now, this is a long-winded question. Are you worried about all the friggin' stupid pre-fish wonders? Because talking to everyone that was at Kenya on the weekend, it gradually fished harder as the weekend went on and got harder over the weekend. Are you worried about all these pre-fish wonders that are just going to go out there and slay all these fish on pre-fish day and make it hard for you on Sunday?
There's definitely going to be a few, and in all honesty, I'd love to see. And as hard as it is for a lot of guys down south, I reckon it'd be great to see. It'd be great to see, the dam not fished at all on the Friday, but we know that's not going to be the case. But it's one of those things. This tournament's going to be different, and it's going to be very tactical, I believe, in the sense that you don't have a lot of space because the level's low. I had a couple of really good banks on the weekend that were fished by nearly all 17 of the other boats. So you're not going to have somewhere to yourself. You rarely do anyway, but you've got to be really tactical about this one. And so you've got to put a bit of foresight and thought into it even before you get there. So it's going to be a very interesting event, this one, different to normal Kenya.
Yep, for sure. So Jordan Wren's won that event. I think Mick was second, you were third. So you've got an idea of what the dam's fishing like right now. Anything can happen in a week or so in the way of water inflows, stuff like that. But the water level is right down. So for all the Victorians and New South Welshmans down here that watch the show that might know much about, Kenya is really drought stricken at the moment. That whole North Burnett has got none of this rain that we're reading about. All we hear about down here as a Victorian is how much rain, Brisbane's had, how much rain Bundy's had. But the North Burnett region around Kenya, Warooma, that area has got none of this rain. So the dam is still at
nothing.
20% or something. What's the dam at?
It's 27.5 or 6. I think it's risen 0.5% in the last 2 weeks with all that rain.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a shame, but we're going to be it's going to be low phone range for information. I'm not going to be able to make it to Kenya, so I'm going to be sitting here on the edge of my seat all weekend, sending you messages, sending Kony messages, sending everyone messages to try and get an update of what's going on because the phone range is. But it's going to be wonderful to see that realistically it all comes down to how you and Kony go head to head, really.
Yeah, so as far as the AIY race goes, it's just me and Kony with this one, and that's all I'm sort of going for. But I know it's a very close race, and to be honest, if there was a handful of guys I'd love to be fishing against, obviously one is Kony. But yeah, same deal. It's just going to come down to the last round, and it's actually really exciting, and hopefully from a viewer's perspective that loves their bass fishing, hopefully we can bring this one right down the wire for whoever they're barracking for. So it's going to be an interesting finish.
Oh yeah, look, I'm barracking for both of you, but I'd love to see a draw. It'd be great, but it's really going to be interesting because, and I hope it goes down to the wire. I know each of you probably hopes you've wrapped it up Saturday afternoon, and you can relax into Sunday. But going into it as a viewer's perspective, I am just so hoping that you both catch big bags on Saturday. You're sitting in that top 5 each, and it's all the pressure's still on you to perform. But only time will tell for that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks coming up, and it's definitely going to come down to the wire, and I'm glad it's sort of come down to the last round, and hopefully everything goes well and Kony can get up here.
Yeah, for sure. And I messaged Kony this week because I did see his name on the AOT website as an entry, and he said he's doing everything in his power to get there. Because you're the same as me. You'd find it unfair if he couldn't make it. It's a bit of a shame because of work or COVID, whatever it is. So we're both hoping there and really has a red hot crack at it because he's had as good a year as anyone out there. And as I said, Mick's sitting in third place. 3 seconds and a third or whatever he's got under his belt. In any normal year would have won AIY with that, So you three guys have really set the bar pretty high, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I was saying, it's amazing. You can have one of the best years of your life, and someone else is doing the same thing. So it's good.
Yeah, for sure. Like I know we had a chat coming back from Glenborn, and I'm saying, "Oh, well done with the AIY," and you're going, "Not over yet, man. It's not over yet." And Kony comes and pulls it out, and you were right. I mean, I had you penciled in from way back then, but Kony's really showed it. So we better get into these questions, eh?
Yeah.
All right. So Mick Hayden's got one here. He's saying, "Hey, Matty, what's your go-to lure you used at the Glenborn ABT?"
Glenborn ABT. I don't actually have one here. I've got a selection of lures next to me here, actually, but one of them, or two, I've got two here. One in particular, and I'll show you, Mick. Basically, the Rapala X-Rap 6 in the live roach color, this one here. This is the exact lure. This is actually Mitch Petty. So, Mitch, I'll give this back to you one day. Probably not, but that's no, probably not. The X-Rap 6 that I won at Lake Sinclair. I used this at Glenborn, but basically, Glenborn, I used a bit of a three-pronged approach. On the first day, I used a very shallow jerkbait, which is X-Rap 6. Then I used a mid-range, smaller deep dive and jerkbait. And then I used a deep jerkbait. So a deep jerkbait like the Rapala ripstop with a bigger bib gets down to, 6 to 9 feet. So basically I was fishing 1 to 3 feet real early in the morning, and then 3 to 4 feet as the sun come up. So basically I followed the sun and threw the jerkbait to suit the sun and the bank that I was fishing. And then in between there, I fished a whopper plopper, so a surface lure. If you don't know what a whopper plopper is, it's like a fizzer with a rotating tail. Google it if you're not sure. That caught me some fish. And then Sunday was totally different, and I had to fish a blade in some deeper trees because all those shallow fish just totally shut down for me. But, they were my go-to lures for Glenborn.
Excellent. Thanks for that question, Mick. All right, I'll keep going through them. Bailey Lennox is the next one on the list. So what's the best way to target bass in the colder water?
That's a good question. This is a question that people get back to front. But some people have their own theories about this. And this is a pretty big one, I feel. It's probably one of the most important questions in bass fishing, I reckon. But the best way to target bass in colder water, to me, is you got two options. You either fish super shallow early in the morning, or you go and fish in that sort of 20-foot bracket where those fish are sitting on the bottom, set up to false spawn. I call it a false spawn. So basically, the fish that are, in the colder water are either up super shallow, and I mean in 2 to 3 feet, or out in 20 foot, getting ready for that false spawn. They still produce roe and semen and all that stuff, and they still go through the same process in winter. But they're the two places that you'll find them in winter. And normally up shallow, again, they'll be close to the bottom in an ambush position, and out deep in that 20 foot, instead of suspending like they would in summertime, they'd be on the bottom. And normally around some type of structure, whether it's rock, gravel, something like that, they need something to do their little spawn dance on. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome question. Thanks, Bailey, and great answer. Sean wants to know, hey, Langers, where's the best steak you've ever had? It must be a
Somerset Village. Somerset Village. I think it was an ABT Open 2021. Me and Mick Johnson enjoyed one of the best steaks we'd ever eaten in the campground at Somerset Village.
That's
cooked
the way
by
to do
Sean,
it.
is it?
Cooked by Sean. I was wondering why it was in there.
Yeah. Amazing.
All right. Scotty Gullick wants to know, have you got a favourite colour pattern in the DT? Straight up, that was easy.
I don't know. I'm not. I think it's mule. I'm pretty sure it's mule. I'm certain mule. Don't quote me on it, but that is my favourite. It's like a crawdad yabby. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's mule, but yeah, I better just double check that one.
I would say, everyone gets their own thought process in that. I reckon that looks more like a koi carp than anything else.
You know what I reckon it is? And it's not so much. See, I reckon personally, I like, whereas humans to me are all about, oh, that looks nice and it looks like a yabby. But you know what I reckon it is? I reckon it's the chartreuse underbelly, this one, and that wider side. To me, it's still, when it's shuffling in the dirt, they're seeing that white belly.
Yep.
Yeah, they're seeing that white belly basically moving around. Yeah, and I mean, you're stirring up the silt. That's how I like to fish them anyway. I like to fish them on the bottom.
And to ask the silly question, any UV in that lure?
I would have to check, but I
Yeah.
don't believe so. But I would have to check. Don't quote me on that one either.
Yeah, because one thing I did
Yeah.
did actually learn out of this show last year is when I had Harry Watson on and we were talking all things jackal and stuff like that. And he actually said that, you know, always carry a UV torch with you when you go to the tackle shop and check which lures were UV.
Oh.
And I went and bought one. I think it was actually I got one through Rapala through one of the ABT comps, a little one that goes on my keychain, and I want a bigger one. So I've got one on my keychain all the time. And when I sit there in the tackle shops and I see something that I like and I grab my little UV and I look at it and you go, yeah, that's got UV in it because, you know, why does brown dog catch so many fish? It's all to do with the UV.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think there is a lot of merit in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cameron, hey, Langers, what would you expect out of Kenya in a few weeks' time, seeing as the dam level is so low, bag weights, big bass for the round, that sort of thing?
So big bass, I reckon you're probably going to see it Saturday morning, and it'll probably get caught in maybe the first hour. And I believe someone may catch a 1.3, but I don't think they're going to be much bigger than that. You might get a 1.4. I know there's bigger ones in there still, but in comparison to what they normally are like there, you know, 1.5s, 1.6s are fairly common, but it's not the normal Kenya, and I believe, you know, an 800-gram fish at Kenya at the moment is a good one.
Yep.
So if you can catch an 800-gram fish, I had two of my bags on the weekend. I had two 400-grammers to weigh 800 grams in the second session, and then I weighed 900 grams in the third session, and I came third, you know, with 400-500-gram fish.
Yeah.
You know, the first morning I got a couple of kilo fish, so they are there. The bigger ones are there, but the weights are going to be really low, unfortunately.
And it is a weigh-in event, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah, a 5-fish limit. And see, the 5-fish limit, don't get your sights set on catching 5 every session either.
It's going to be tough.
It's tough. The way it fished on the weekend, I hope I'm wrong. But, yeah, it's fishing tough and small.
All right, awesome. Thanks for that question, Cameron. Boogie wants to know, now I'm pretty sure that's, do you catch cod in the river systems out at St. George and Surat on lures, or I suppose he means do you catch them on bait?
We've caught them. We've caught them in the rivers out home there, in real dirty water on lures.
Yeah.
I just don't think people put enough time into it out there. Like there's this I don't know, this like theory or whatever on, you know, dirty water and not being able to catch fish on lures. Most of the time I reckon that's true, but I fished a river system a few years ago, and admittedly the fish were really hungry because it was pretty dry, but I fished the dirtiest water I've ever seen. And it literally was chocolate coffee. Like it was coffee, ridiculously dirty. You couldn't see a millimeter in it. And we caught so many yellow belly on spinnerbaits. I think, who did I have it with me? I had Owen up from Blackwater with me. We caught 30 or 40 yellow belly in this ridiculously dirty water on spinnerbaits. And the only way that I could imagine that they were tracking that lure was either through their lateral lines and the vibration of the spinnerbait blade. There's no way they could see it, but that also backed up that theory that I reckon you can catch fish in dirty water on lures. And I've also seen it on surface as well. Mick Johnson will tell you, you know, dirty water, surface lures, you'll still catch big cod. So I just don't think guys have put enough time in. But we've caught tons of cod and yellows out St George and Surratt on lures before, yeah.
Yeah.
But he fishes there all the time. That's a bit of a trick question.
That's a trick question, is it? Yeah. So somebody caught a cod at Kenya.
Nick Anderson.
Nick Anderson, that's right, yeah. So that
Yeah,
was interesting.
76.
I've never seen a cod come out of there in all my time.
Yeah, there's been the last 2 years, there's been probably more than a dozen now that I've heard of and seen. And I reckon I reckon there's I reckon they're Murray cod in there too, just by looking at the picture of Nick's. I haven't seen one close up, but there was speculation about Marys and Murrays, and there still will be. I'm not a professional either, but I reckon they're Murray cod.
Yeah, no, I know when we went up there with the Boondoma stocking group, when their stocking group closed and they closed their dams down, which is down below the dam wall, and we went and netted all the fish in that dam, and there was perch, there was heaps of toga, which we took to Boondoma. There was yellows, there was bass, and there was also cod in those dams as well. So they were all going to drain those dams and put them up the top. So they could have come out of the stocking dams as well.
Yeah, I reckon that they've either come in by someone's just let them go, or like Boondoma with the carp, I reckon they've just been in someone's farm dam and it's flooded and they go to the first place they can get to. And that's a big one, the big dam.
All right. As I said, we're trying to fly through these questions because there's heaps of them coming in. Sean's got a nice quick one here. What trailers do you use on your skirted jigs?
There's two. It all depends on the bite. I don't get set on one that works for me all the time. I sort of go on what the fish want and what they're biting on. But the two variations that I use, one is scent based, so basically something that smells or stinks. So like the Berkeley trailers are good. They have a lot of scent and attractant in their lures. So Berkeley crabbies or gulps or whatever. And then the other ones, I know X-Zone or some of the American brands with the crazy flappers and all that sort of stuff. If they're not after scent when they bite your lure and they're after motion, particularly when you're dropping a jig down a rock wall or you're actually swimming it like a swim jig, that tail action or those arm action trailers are really good. So yeah, like I was saying, like a crazy flapper or a X-Zone swammer or one of those things. They as long as they have some sort of action, they're the two jig trailers I'd look for: action and scent.
Yep, awesome. Josh, another quick one. Josh wants to know your favourite hard body deep diving lure.
I've got two, but the Rapala DT20 is definitely one. Favourite hard body deep diving. So the DT20, and there's another one called Nike 800. It goes all right too, but your Rapala DT20s for ledge fishing anywhere for bass. I can't go past it. In the last 4 or 5 years, I can't sort of explain how many fish I've caught on them when they're sitting on ledges or sitting on the bottom.
Hasn't it changed though, especially for the bass scene, when hard bodies were seen to be for the trollers? And I remember 4 or 5 years ago we come down to a cod comp and Tony Bennett's gone, show us your hard bodies, and we're like, we've got 3 or 4 in the box, and he's just laughing at us.
Yeah. I know. We got into the KVD. KVD had this like brand of hard body. I can't even remember. I can't remember what they were, but we started throwing them for cod out home, and then some fellas. I can't remember where. There's a lake over in America. I'm pretty sure it's called Douglas Lake. There was a tournament over there before a Bass Nation tournament, and these guys were crankbaiting these big hard bodies 200 meters and getting them down 30 to 60 feet, which is a ridiculously long way. But they'd only do maybe 60 to 80 long lines, and they call it long lining over in the States at Douglas Lake to catch their bag of fish, and they were catching them real good. And a couple of guys, I think Dean Sylvester was one, and there was a handful of other guys who started trialing it at Somerset and a number of other places, and started actually realizing that it worked over here. And there had to be a few little things, like our bass really like it when it's dragged on the bottom. You don't have to be like that all the time, but they like it like that. And then ever since then, it's sort of caught on, and there's been a ton of different lures that work really good. But now it's just, if you don't have a crankbait in your arsenal and know how to throw it, you're going to get towed up one day, because it's one of those techniques that you have to have. And I mean, that's the great thing about the DT20. Miller Rod's just released the Crank Freak. It's all there.
That's it. Mick Hayden wants to know, are you going to the Teens Fishing Australia comp at Glenborn?
Yes, definitely, but there's something that might get in the way. There's actually two things. One is the birth of a child, and there's something big that's brewing that might get in the way too.
We can't get an inside scoop here on Chewin The Fat.
Oh,
no, all right.
It's a big one.
We'll get you on again closer. We'll get you on again closer and see if we can get that.
Yeah, we do that.
All right.
It could be big.
When you're allowed to announce it, make sure you let me know.
Yeah.
Andrew Simpson's got one here. He said, how many boats are in the comp? Now, I'm assuming that's Kenya. I was looking at the list yesterday, and there was 21 boats registered at the moment, so not a lot.
No, but it's still way too many.
Doesn't matter. There's only 2 boats that matter, eh?
Yeah. Just let me and Kony go and fish it.
It should be Super Sunday. Just let you two go out on Sunday by yourself.
That I'd feel much better about that. We might actually catch some.
All right. Chris Senior wants to know, how do you break down a large impoundment such as Glenborn in a prefish?
That's a good question too. I've got, over the years, I've sort of learnt to break it down. I sort of break a day into portions, and I did mention it earlier today about the sun, basically following the sun, if that makes sense. So when the sun's on the horizon, I basically fish super shallow, and as the sun comes up over the horizon, and try and imagine where I'm coming from here, but basically as the sun comes up, as the sun gets higher, I go deeper, if that makes sense. So when it's on the horizon, I'm fishing shallow, and as it's coming up, by midday, I'm out deep, fishing pretty deep, and just trying to figure out, where they are from 0 feet to 60 feet, basically. And I think over time, like, I've just got a process that I follow. There's a number of lures that I'll throw. I'll never just go out and pre-fish with 1 or 2 lures. I always have 16 rods on the deck on that pre-fish day, and I'll throw every single one of them. And like I said, I just sort of basically follow the depth more than anything, if that makes sense, and follow the depth and follow the contour of the sun.
And you've got a fairly photographic memory in the sense of fishing wise. I mean, you never remember when my birthday is, but you can always you can always remember it's remarkable. I used to go to you, all right, we're going to Boondoma, and you go, oh yeah, it's March. Last March this time, friggin' 3 years ago, we were catching on this. We caught that big one on this. And you've got a really good memory. Yeah. So you do go to the memory banks a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I've got it is up here somewhere. I was writing a diary for years until basically I memorized the diary. Then I thought to myself, I'll keep writing in the diary. Maybe I'll write a book one day. But I've got everything up here now, and yeah, like I could literally tell you who won what comp this time of year at Glenborn, throwing what and what year. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember someone's name I met yesterday or when my mum's birthday is. I forget my wife's and my daughter's birthday and my son's birthday, but I can remember, you know, what Kony was fishing when he won the grand final at Glenborn.
Yeah.
You know, like that stuff like that. So yeah.
No, that's it, and it's not a bad thing. I can tell you, it's won you thousands of dollars. Alex wants. Alex wants to know: do you think we could incorporate largemouth techniques like drop shot style for Aussie bass?
Absolutely, it's already been done. Yeah, there's so many things that in the future that we have to perfect a little bit more. Guys have been using drop shot for nearly, probably 10 years. Probably not as long as 10 years, but yeah, really in the last sort of 5 years, it's really taken off. But we haven't perfected it yet. We haven't found the right hook size. We haven't found the right lure. Guys are good at it, but it hasn't won a tournament yet, and it will in the future. There's guys are throwing.
Can I interrupt you there for a sec?
Yeah.
So let's talk electrics. At the moment, his name. Dave, what's his name? It's been winning all the electric comps. Dave.
Yeah.
Dave. It's Dave. Dave Browning. Dave. Anyway, the electric comps, his name eludes me at the moment, and somebody will put it in the comments and remind me who it is. But basically, the technique that he's been using to win those comps, I would consider almost drop shotting.
It's almost, it is almost, but maybe that's what it is. And there you go. You're right, Pete Bostock. It is.
That's
Pete
it.
Bostock. Yep. But Pete's probably made that into Australia's version of drop shotting.
Yep.
So there you go. Yeah, exactly. Spot on.
And I didn't want to, I just thought when you said that no, you don't think it's won a tournament, well, looking at my point of view, looking at those electric series comps that he's won and the way that he's explained it and shown on the ABT website, that he's pretty much, that's Australia's version of it for sure.
Yeah, yep. And guess what? I've got 5 packets of Berkeley shrimps in my boat, and I know how to rig it up, but I have not caught a fish on it yet.
Yep.
So he's got it down pat. And that's what I taught. I've spoken to a couple guys in the last couple of days about versatility. If something new comes out, I would highly recommend any bass angler or any keen bass angler learn it, because one day it's going to be on and you'll get your ass kicked if you don't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's why we love the bass style boat. We've got unlimited storage under the front, so you can carry a little bit of everything out on the water, because one day you're going to need it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Barry Kelly's got one here. He's obviously been on your Facebook. I was reading your Facebook today, and he saw you share the 13 reel for fishing bits. He's looking at setting up a bait caster or setting up for throwing light plastics, smaller hard bodies. Just the question, set up throwing light plastics and smaller hard bodies. What rod and reel setup would you recommend for a beginner for bait casters, or only to use spin?
Oh, that's a good question. So is he speaking specific bait casters or spin rod?
Well, I think he's a beginner, so he wants to know whether he should really learn with the spin rod and change over to a bait caster, or just a beginner's bait caster. What would you suggest?
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense. So basically, the way I try and teach people when I'm guiding is I always start them off on a spin rod first, just to learn how to cast, because a spin rod and a bait caster are they're vastly different. They have similarities, but throwing plastic, smaller hard bodies. What reel and rod setup would you recommend for a beginner? So light light plastics and little hard bodies. Probably to start off. Hey, Harry.
Hello.
I'd probably start off with like a 7-foot spin rod and 1,000 to 2,500 size reel, and just start with 10-pound line, 10-pound leader, and get it out in your backyard and practice. Then basically, I'd even just put a bucket out in your backyard or in the paddock and practice casting at it, depending on what size lure you got. Take your trebles off it and get it out in the backyard and learn the weight of it. That's how I'd do it, but I'd definitely start with a spin setup first and just try and get the fundamentals right.
Yep, for sure. All right, Harry's here because he's going to have to go to bed very, very soon. So we do have to do Harry's picker box. So we've got Harry's picker box there. And I think the question earlier on that I have been looking through the questions that are still to come. And the one that I did like the best earlier on was Bailey Lennox, which is one of the first questions of the night. I'll go back and... What's the best way to target bass in colder water? So, Bailey, I've picked you out for tonight for Harry's box, but you've still got to be on. So, Bailey, you've got to write in the comments there that you're on and you're still watching. Mm-hmm. And what you also have to do, Bailey, is tell us whether you're going to take the prize that Harry selects out of Harry's box here or what you're going to take out of the mystery box on the other side. So, you've got to choose one or the other. But let us know that you're still on in the comments. And while we're doing that, we'll go back to Maddie for another question, just so we're waiting on Bailey to write in the questions. And the next one was from Trent. Trent wants to know, if you had to pinpoint one thing that makes you so consistent, what would it be?
Pinpoint one thing. Confidence. Is that the answer you wanted? Confidence. Having the confidence to obviously do the tournament and back yourself. So having the confidence just to go out and do what you do, but two things. He said one thing. I'm going to give him two. So one's confidence and two is movement.
Excellent. All right. Awesome. Great question. Thanks, Trent. I'm going to hide that because Bailey has got in the comments and he has said that he wants to trust you with your pick, Harry. So pick one out of there and we'll see what he comes up with. There was a really good prize in the box too. There's a fishing reel in the picker box. All right, that's so appropriate. We got it over there. I'm just going to go and check the prize for this one.
Corey sounds excited. It must be good.
Talk to everyone, Harry.
Yes, hello. Hi. If you don't know, I'm Harry.
Hello, Harry.
Yeah, I straightened my hair recently.
You straighten your hair?
Yeah, he's got to straighten his hair.
Yeah, it's normally curly. My grand says I look like
girls like that.
All right, I had to dig it out. All right.
It must be big.
No, it's just appropriate for the night. Every time I've had a guest on, the actual lucky draw prize, it's almost like it was rigged. Now, I'll show you here. It was actually Garmin.
Perfect.
And it's a Garmin shirt. So here we go. This one here.
Yeah, good.
So it's a
awesome.
It's a nice Garmin shirt, this one. So that was donated to me with a Z-Man face mask. So Bailey, you won the Garmin shirt.
Cool.
So well done. What you need to do for me is send me your address and details to Corey's Dam Fishing Facebook page, and I will post that out to you this week. So pretty appropriate that you're the Garmin, and that didn't come from you. So really cool.
Yeah, I am a prophet.
You are a prophet. All right.
I am an oracle.
You're the oracle. You going to say goodbye to everyone?
Oh, yeah.
Will
His
you walk
voice,
away?
Golden on a romantic way.
There's the thumb.
I just realised I stole your thumbs.
Yeah, leave my thumbs there. Thank you. All right, excellent, Bailey. And I've got the postcode
Harry.
prize I'm going to give away from earlier in the night as well. Harry did send that through. I didn't get the message. Was Jason Peace 4510. That's Jason Peace. And Jason wins the Venom buff and the Venom hat. So both from Wilson. So that's the postcode prize from earlier on as well. All right, we've got heaps of questions. You're right to hang on for a bit over the hour, Matty, and we'll get through some of these questions.
I'll stay as long as you need me to. Yeah.
We'll get cracking through these questions. I'll try and get back to where we were. Rightio. We've got Kyle has asked, when chasing bass on scope, do you have to run the lure fairly close to them, or will they travel up and eat them? So with cod, we've found that you got to keep the lure as close as you can to the fish. Do you find the bass travel a long way for a lure?
Well, no, our first experience on with what was it back then?
Panoptics. Yep.
When we first came out, we had Garmin Panoptics on the boat, and it was in the first hour we were throwing spinnerbaits at BP, and we watched a bass swim 20 feet.
Yep.
6 feet. He swam from the bottom.
Feet. Yeah.
Fast as he straight up to hit a spinnerbait. He was sitting on the bottom, and we were rolling it in 3 feet or something ridiculous up real high. And we've seen bass swim 20, 30 feet to eat a lure, but most of the time you got to try and keep it near them. But when they're super active and if they can feel it, they'll swim from a long way to eat it. Yeah,
for sure. Jeff's got one here. For bass fishing, do you make many changes to your hook setups on the lures, or do you leave them as they come out of the box?
It just depends with that one. That's very lure specific. So it just depends on what type of hooks they've got. With the Rapala ones, they run VMC hooks, so you rarely have to change them. But there is some lures out there where you do actually need to tweak the trebles or the hook setup, and it depends what you're fishing too. Like I know there's certain lures that I'll keep standard in certain situations, but then depending on what structure you're fishing or how even the fish are biting, sometimes I'll take trebles off and run stingers on them too. So that all depends. That one.
Awesome. Another guy that's been following your Facebook page obviously wants to know, when's the secret lure get revealed?
Oh, that's up to Mr. Casey, that one.
You've got to wait for Glenn for that one.
Not long, I don't think. It'll be in the next couple months, I'm sure. Yeah.
All right, double-sided question from Rory here. Wants to know what pound line do you mainly catch your bass on, and the same question for Barra. So, what line do you use for bass and for Barra?
Oh yeah, okay. So, what pound line do you mainly use to catch bass? Okay, so mainly, I kind of stick to 10-pound for bass commonly. I try not to overcomplicate my setups too much. So if I'm fishing open water, for example, I use 10-pound Yamatoyo resin shell braid. And if I'm fishing heavier structure, I'll go up to 12-pound Yamatoyo resin sheller. And if I'm fishing super heavy structure with bait cast, I'll go 22-pound. That's for bass. For barramundi, I commonly run barramundi and cod I commonly run 30-pound.
Yep.
And you can go bigger, but I haven't had one break 30-pound yet. So.
Yep. No, for sure. And I think another thing too is good quality line. If you're buying the good quality line, I always say on the show, buy the best you can afford. But if you're buying good quality current day line, it's equivalent to, double the strength of what you used to buy in normal line anyway.
Yeah.
And
that's right. I know years ago Carl used a particular brand of line that was 14-pound on the packet, and he ran 14 pound, but I think it was must have been rated up around 30. Sorry. Realistically, it was probably up around 30, but it was rated to 14 on the actual packet. So.
Yeah, for sure. Kony's been in the comments, and people are commenting on how much fun you guys must have, but he wants that side bet for the AIY.
Wonder what sort of side bet he wants.
Yeah, we'll have to find out on that one. See if he's willing to put his money where his mouth in, because he's the one that's got to be. I think Kony. In all honesty, I think Kony's the one that's got to fish the house down, because it's your favourite dam. You've had a prefish there, so it's all on Kony, I think. Here we go. Keith, this is more a statement than a question. He's been catching cod in the Nepean River near Penrith. So that's pretty cool to hear.
That's cool. That's real cool.
There's a lot of comments coming through. Chances of Kony having motor troubles or lack of maintenance hampering his AIY bid?
There hasn't been too many. There hasn't been a whole lot of tournaments this year where he's had much luck mechanically with his gear. Hopefully he's got enough to get him by for the season.
And the thing with it too, though, that, like, for somebody that we laugh at and we hang a lot of shit on, and we give him the old hot-headed redhead sort of speech all the time, and you're cranky, but that shit just doesn't get to him. It doesn't affect him. Like, he still fishes the house apart no matter what's thrown at him. He can really turn it on even when shit's going wrong.
He's always been like that. He oozes confidence, old Mitchie. He's pretty handy.
Yep.
He knows what he's doing.
Bo wants to know if you're running the 32 or the 34 transducers.
Yeah, so on my electric motor, I'm still running the 32.
Yep.
And I run that in forward mode. And the 34 I run in perspective. And it's on the on mixed. So
yep.
Yeah.
Do you?
I run one of each.
Yep. Can you notice the difference?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 34 is definitely a lot clearer, and there's less. How would you say, less interference?
So the stitching, I believe, all the stitching and all that's just completely gone. It's clearer. It's brighter.
It's just clear as a bell. Yeah.
Because we had a lot of questions on last week's show asking the skiers boys, and Mitch hasn't changed over yet, so we couldn't answer those. So that's good.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, so easy. I run. I have got a video on my Facebook page. If you go back and have a look, I've got them side by side, but you can see the difference. Same settings on the 34 and the 32 in that video. Same gain, everything, and you can see that the right hand. 34 is just miles clearer. So yeah, they've just cleaned everything up.
Yeah, sure. There's some there that we've briefed over early in the night anyway. So I'm going to keep popping through these questions. Shane Richards wants to know, do you have any feelings on long lining in comps? Are you against it or for it, or?
No, I think if it's within the rules, it all. Most tournament series or most fishing bodies have a governing rule on how to fish and what you can and can't do. And I believe if they make a rule on something and we stick to it, then you're fishing within the rules, obviously. So, and I know in the past with long lining, there's been some grey areas, but I think the boundaries have been pushed by certain anglers at certain points. But basically the rules are with long lining is you make your cast, you have an open spool, you can move the boat under the power of the electric or the wind until basically your spool runs out. You stop using the power of your electric motor, you engage the reel and you start winding, then that's legal. But a few times before, guys have used the main pair of their motor. They've done a few things that could be potentially frowned upon. I think, there's been some things in the past, but I think if you stick within the rules, then it's a viable technique. I mean, you even look at wind drifting. You can't stop people from doing that, and people blow up about that all the time. You're using nature. So all you're doing is simulating nature and fishing with an open spool on the long line, then there's not a whole lot of difference. And I mean, if you're within the rules, then you have every right to.
Yep, no, agree with that totally, 100%. Warren Ross wants to know, what's your best advice for somebody wanting to get into tournament fishing?
Two things, I reckon. One is go with a good fishing guide and show you how it works, or simply join a non-boater ABT or a QFFT. Oh, look at that. You've just slapped up the website. What about that for marketing?
There you go. So, Australian Fishing Charters, that's the website there. There you go.
That wasn't even planned.
No,
wow.
Pretty good.
I like what you did there. But, yeah, basically, you either go with a guide or join an ABT non-boater, and you don't get a choice of who you fish with, but you'll get to go with some pretty experienced anglers from different parts of Australia and fish and learn. There you go.
I'll just add to that. There are a couple of now, I don't want to sound offensive to any comp that's being run, but there are a couple of what I would class as intermediate comps or comps where you can cut your teeth in. There's a group down here. I don't know where you're from, Warren, but there's a group down here, Central Victorian Lure Casters. You've got your family Bassins and AYCs through New South Wales, and you've got your teams, Queensland teams fishing Paul Allwood's mob up there in Queensland. That a good bunch of guys will accept you into the realms if you want to fish with a mate. But obviously, as Matty said, definitely go out on a charter with somebody to learn and learn the basics, or jump on the back of a boat with ABT is the best experience you'll ever have.
Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly.
All right. Gary wants to know, when you say following the sun up, do you prefer the sunlit banks or the sun-shaded banks?
Oh, yeah, that's a dependent on what's happening on the dam sort of deal, that one. Generally, I like the shaded banks personally, but sometimes, depending on what's happening on the dam, because there's so many things happen in nature, you might be having a day where the wind's pushing on a particular bank and the heat on the rocks might be getting the fish accumulating on the rocks. There's so many different variations and variables within nature, but personally, I like the shaded banks. But I know in certain situations in the past, I fished sunny banks with particular lures and smoked them. So it all depends on the day. Side bet. Kony's
actually put in the comments. I'm only putting it up there. He's saying, put the side bet out to the viewers. So obviously, we need to get you to comment in the comments what you think the side bet should be between Mitch and Matt. So whether it might be a naked swim after the presentations, it could be a bucket of KFC on the way home. Could be,
Champs box.
Whatever you want. Put it in the comments, and we'll see if we can come up with a winner for that one by the end of the night as well.
Oh, yeah. Let the viewers decide. I reckon a haircut.
Somebody was saying to you, straighten your hair early on in the night. I skipped over that one.
Yeah, that's someone with a massive head.
Declan wants to know if you've been planning retaliation for the birthday cake incident. Obviously, Declan was there when the birthday cake incident happened. So, has there been planning for next year?
Yeah, we'll find out at Kenya.
Great question here too, Steve Osman. Umbrella rings that the Yanks are using. Now, I think I'm right in saying this. They're not legal in Australia because we're only allowed to have a certain amount of hooks per line and stuff like that. But that's not to say I have thrown umbrella rigs for bass at Boondoma, but I've only ran like 3 single hooks on the umbrella rig and had like 8 or 9 without hooks on it. Which makes sort of defeats the purpose. But do you know if there's? I think it's the hook rule more than anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on what state you're in too, but I'm pretty sure it's the hook rule.
Yeah.
I think it's 3, something like that.
Yeah.
But I'd have to find out. But it's definitely hook related.
Yeah. It's not the actual size of the lure. It's not what the lure is. It's the amount of hooks that you can have on the lure. So you're just laughing. I haven't even got to those. I'm still going through the.
Some of these idiots in these comments. I'm telling you.
Dirty hooks. People are already answering that. That's good.
I've got no hair to cut, so
yeah. Hey, Grant, good to see you over in WA. Obviously, it's a 4-hour difference in WA, so it's good to see viewers over in WA on there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Adrian's saying Pete had a 5-fish limit the first day for 7.5 kegs on that drop shot technique. So, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's a cracking bag. So that's Australia's version of drop shotting to this point. That's cool.
The people who want to know about drop shotting will obviously try and get Adrian on in a future show, and we might even try and get Pete on as well to have a chat.
Should try and get Pete on,
yeah,
because he's on fire this year.
Oh, by far.
Mm.
Let's just keep going through. Dave Thomas is saying Paul's comps are great up in Queensland.
Yeah.
Keegan Painter wants to know if there's an AIY bet on the TAB app.
Yeah. We can. I don't know. I know there'd be a few lads on it. They'd put a bet on.
Oh, for sure. Nick's got their bit of shave your head for the runners up. Might be good for langers. Esky over the head.
Esky.
But there's one. What was that? Langers dyes his hair red. Kony shaves his hair. So there's some good ones coming in. Pink slips on both boats.
Pink slips. Oh, shivers.
We're getting good now. That must be one of Kony's mates.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, I'm trying to say your boat's worth more than Kony's. So if he wins your boat. So if they put together an old boys versus new boys there we go. This is a question.
Oh, yeah. This is one I think about a lot, actually.
So we've talked about this, and when Drew was running Bass Nation, I was always trying to look at new competitions to come to Boondoma or BP, and one of them was to try and do a best of all time comp and get all the old boys out and against each other. But this is, excuse me, this is kind of close. So put together the old boys versus new boys. Who do you think would win and why? Good question.
I personally, the older guys, they were the pioneers of bass fishing. So no disrespect to those guys, but I reckon the guys nowadays, there's so many techniques that these not new, but the guys that are fishing now know that weren't fished back then. I reckon that we'd give them a good run for their money. I'm not saying that we'd smash them, but I reckon we'd give them a good run for their money. However, in saying that, some of those older techniques that aren't fished as much nowadays were fished very well by those guys back then. So I don't want to be a fence sitter, but I reckon we'd get them. But we should try and set that up. That'd be so good.
It would be. It really would be. I was only talking about this with Glenn Casey the other day. There are some old techniques that really need to come back. And one of them was obviously, talking to Glenn, because he's a spinnerbait legend, was the old deep water spinnerbaiting. We don't do that anymore. It's all spoons and plastics and stuff like that. But the old deep water spinnerbait that Carl and Greeny and guys like that used to do really, really well, I still think would slay them for sure.
Yeah. But it's definitely not done as much as it used to.
Yeah, something we need to put to somebody to organise. That's for sure. All right, we've got a couple more candidates for the side bet. There's a few in there saying that you should dye your hair red and Kony should shave his head. So that was a good one. But there was one there from Kevin Beams that I think if I was involved in it, this would have to be the bet. So the loser gets an AIY tattoo of the winner's name and year on their body somewhere. I thought that was a good one.
Oh, God.
So the loser would have to, if you won, Kony would have to get Matthew Langford AIY tattooed on his body somewhere.
Oh, God.
Right.
Jeez. That's forever.
Yeah.
That's not coming.
No, that's a forever bet, that one.
And we got to remember, right? I'm confident going into Kenya, but Kony has a 2-point lead on me. So he's got the advantage. So one would think I'm slightly disadvantaged from behind. So I don't know if I could. Kony's a good mate, but I don't know if I could have his name on my ass.
It doesn't have to be on your ass. It can be on the sole of your foot.
Oh, dear.
A couple of guys are saying the internet's been going in and out. I'm not 100% sure. I've had good internet all night. I can hear you, so we'll just keep ploughing along. Bailey, another one here about live wells. So considering big enough, and what are your tips for keeping fish alive? So basically, I would say straight up, each comp has their own sets of rules. So you'd have to check with the comp through their rules of what size live well is correct for that actual fishing comp. But what about keeping them alive, Langers?
Keeping them alive? There's so many fish stimulants now on the market that you can purchase through Tackle Warehouse, online, wherever. But number one, obviously, is having an aerator. And I think most comps have rules that must be a certain litre capacity. And you must also have be able to have the capacity to cycle fresh water and have an aeration system in it as well. So that aerator is definitely beneficial, and circulating the water is also beneficial. But there is also fish stimulants that you can purchase to put in the water to keep them more lively. But I would definitely look at the rules, like you said, depending on the comp, how many litres and what they require.
Yeah, for sure. And just to add to that, I would say temperature. So, an aluminium boat like I run, I have foam all the way around to keep my live well cool. It's different in the fiberglass boats, but temperature makes a big difference, especially for bass. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Rory wants to know, what dam in Queensland do you recommend learners to catch bass or barra in?
Oh, at the moment, at the moment, that's a very difficult question, because there is a lot of disturbance in our waterways at the moment, obviously, because of all the rain. BP dam's hard to go past when it's fishing well. I mean, every dam or location potentially fishes well at any given time, but that's a hard one. That's a hard one at the moment.
Because of the water inflow that you've had over the last 3 or 4 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I've had to cancel a lot of charters, and I'm probably going to have to do that for the next few weeks, because every waterway has been so disturbed from water influx, apart from Kenya, poor old Kenya. So yeah, so if I was to say any right now, I would say Boondoma is the best place to catch a bass, and Barra. Some may argue, but I would. Oh, that's a hard one. It's obviously Mondrian or a Wonga,
Yeah.
but even Lentils is good too. Geez, there's so many choices, but let's say Mondrian.
Yeah.
But
Right, yeah.
it's risen to ridiculous amounts too. So it's such a hard question, that one.
Yeah, it is. It is. We'll keep going because the questions that keep coming, we've still got heaps of people on. One of the questions that's always brought up, and it's a very long question. Ben's asked it, and it always comes up. We'll get your view on it.
Yep.
He said, what's your view on guys that believe scoping is not appropriate for comps, or do you think it's cheating? He said he's a big fan of the technology personally and loves it. Still have to learn with certain species eats and what not. But you're a Garmin sponsored angler, so we know that you run it. I run it. I love it. But do you think there's any vice in the whole cheating side of things?
No, see, it's a personal view, and I think you could look at the personal view from both perspectives. One, I believe that anyone running a tournament or saying that you can't use it or you can use it or whatever is a personal thing, and that's up to them. They're the organisers of the comp, so be it. You deal with it, and you either fish it or you don't. But I think the technology isn't just specifically for certain people. It's on the market on so many different brands that anyone that has the money to purchase it can purchase it. It's not like it's just for specific people. So I believe that if you've got it on your boat and you want to use it, use it. If you don't have it on your boat and you don't want to use it, don't. But it's a personal preference. Some guys get sour about it, and I'm not going to, speculate of whether they like it or not. It's a personal point of view, and guys, I think it's probably one of the best fishing inventions in history, apart from the electric motor or the motor on the back of your boat. It's one of the best inventions I've ever seen, and it's probably not going to be it's not going to be the only brilliant invention we'll see, but it's changed the way that people fish, and it's won people hundreds of thousands of dollars. In America, guys that were sponsored by a particular brand for a long time have given up sponsorships to go to buy their own live sonar so they can use it, and they've won hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's just what happens. So that's a tough question, but that's my view.
Yeah, no, look, and I agree 100%. As I said, I use it. I love it. If it's commercially available to the general public, or it's commercially available to everyone within the tournament, and it's within the rules of the tournament, I agree 100%. There's nothing wrong with that. If the tournament director wants to say not to use it, that's then your choice whether you go and fish that comp or not. But
that's right.
The thing that pisses me off more than the actual live site, and I think somebody's put it in the questions down lower, seeing fish doesn't mean catching fish. That's granted. It's 100%. I can see millions of fish. Doesn't mean I'm going to catch millions of fish. So the whole conception of it makes your fish better is bullshit. The one that I get is that commercially available rule should come to lures as well. Now, I know that guys like yourself, guys like myself, we're sponsored by different companies, and we get test lures to try, and we get to go out and throw these things. I think it's unfair in comp scenarios that we're throwing those lures and nobody else can buy them yet. I think that's more against the rules than the actual live site itself. But that's my little gripe. There you go. Because I get thrown a lot of lures to test, and I know that they're working, and I know that they're going to come out in the future, and I want to get a couple of comps under my way, and I could do that, but I never, ever have done it. So,
That's a real good point. Yeah. Scott Gullick.
Yep.
He hit the nail on the head, and I say it to my clients all the time. Seeing the fish isn't the same as making it eat, and 100% correct. Even if you can see them, it doesn't matter if it's a cod, a barra, a bass, whatever you're fishing at. If it doesn't want to eat your lure, it will not.
Yep.
Regardless of whether you
100%.
can see it. If you can see it, you can cast all you want at it, but if it doesn't want to eat, it won't.
Mate, on the weekend, I got to fish my whaler for the last time for the drawdown for me. I'm not going to get away for the rest of the drawdown now. And the amount of cod, you know, I caught lots of cod, but the amount of big cod that I had follow my lure for the whole way back to the boat and just swim away over the weekend was frustrating. Like absolutely frustrating. I could not get those to bite, and it was actually to the point where I wanted to turn the bloody thing off because, you know, I was seeing them follow it, but that, you know, it was becoming annoying in the end.
You would time wasting.
Yep. Sure. All right. We're getting all the hard hitting questions tonight. It's great. People are dropping off.
Awesome.
So we'll just answer these last couple of questions. Rory's got another good one here. What are your thoughts on how to get Bass Pro comps in Australia more commercialised to increase the prize money? How do we get more people involved and aware of these awesome competitions like this?
Oh dear, that's a question that we've been trying to answer for a long time. It comes down to, not like you said, to funding, and I believe when you look at places like the United States, it comes down to sheer population, the sheer amount of anglers, and how much outlay into the sport that they can put in to get back. We have a good amount of tournament anglers in the country, but you know, we've got a couple hundred, you know, maybe a few hundred. In America, there's millions, and there's millions of tournament anglers from juniors right through until to pros, the guys fishing the circuit. In Australia, we just don't have, unfortunately, it's popular, don't get me wrong, but we just don't have the numbers that the Americans have, and that's why it's so big over there, because they can afford to put out $100,000 prize money, and you know, if their lure catches the winning fish or is covered for the weekend, they'll make 10 times that back.
Yeah.
So they can afford to do that. But here, we just that's my personal belief. What do you think, Cap?
I think it comes back to the commercial side of things 100%. And agreed, we don't have the populations for that inland waterway situation we have. We have a lot of rusty water fishermen on the outskirts of Australia. And for companies, and you've got to look at it as a business point of view, for companies like Wilson that look after me, Rapala that look after you, for 95% of their trade is salt water. They're selling lures that catch flathead. They're selling lures that catch whiting. They're selling lures and stuff that they need to make their money out of that. So to look at bass in general is a small portion of their business. So, you know, it's all to do with the commercial side of things. There might be, you know, as you said, 5,000 people any given day fishing for bass in Australia, where there's, you know, 100,000 people in Sydney fishing for blackfish or whatever. You know, it's with America, they've got those massive populations around those waterways where their American bass are. So I think it's all to do with the side of things.
Yep.
We need to work smarter for our sponsors and guys like yourself that are out there doing a wonderful job trying to make people aware of products is great, but we need to also be making sure that we're looking after, you know, the sales side of things. They have to sell the stuff. and we've got to put it out there. And we talk about it all the time. We run social media channels. We've both got Instagrams. We've both got Facebook pages, and we're trying to look after people that look after us. And if you put a photo up with your ass hanging out, the boat or a fish, you'll get 10,000 likes. If you put a post up saying, check out the new Miller rod or check out the new Rapala DT or whatever, you get 10 likes and a couple of thumbs up, It's hard for us. We've got to try and support our sponsors and get the information out there in a way that people actually react to it in a positive way. People putting their comments in there, 100 boat fields, all that sort of thing. Just saying, need more beer. Look, I think the guys are dropping off. The comments are now getting into a bit of a side joke there. We do need more beards in fishing. What's the saying? If your father doesn't have a beard, he's your mother. So
he's your mother.
Look, Rory wants to know, Langers, when's the best time to reschedule a day's fishing with you?
September,
always September. Yeah, for sure. August at BP, September everywhere else. It's going to be insane in August at BP, that's for sure.
This year, maybe.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to call it wraps for tonight. You guys can work out what the bet is. Let me know, and I will let everyone know next week. Kony just put in there, if he wins AIY, Keegan will have to shave his beard. There you go. There's a good side bet. I will let all the viewers know next week what the side bet is for sure. I need Jason Pierce and Bailey Lennox to send me messages to Corey's Dam Fishing with your details, and I will post out your prizes. Langers, thanks for being on tonight. I wish you, and I'm sure all the viewers out there also wish you all the best in a couple of weeks' time at Kenya. I'll be watching and listening and sending text messages. I hope I don't annoy you too much, but wish you all the best. And we'll talk to you after the year's finished. We might get you and Kony on to have a bit of a chat after the year's finished.
Do a recap. That'll be good.
Yep.
No, I'm looking forward to Kenya. I can't wait. And like I said, it's been a really great year this year for both of us. Like I said, we're both teammates. We fish together, and it's the way it's shaping up. It's going to be a great finish. But yeah, thanks for having us, and appreciate all the great questions.
I'm just going to bring this up on the screen for everyone to see. So if you don't know how it works, this is the ABT website. If you look here, Kony is on 395, Langers is on 393, and as I said, Mick Johnson on 387. So with the way that it works, Kony's got that 2-point lead. So yeah, we'll see how it all ends up in 2 weeks' time.
No, it should be good. It's amazing that I've won 3 out of the 5. Kony's won 2 out of the 5, and then we got 1 left. So I'd love to get a perfect year.
Well, it's your favourite dam. You can do it. Positives out. I hope you both fish really, really well, and it comes down to the wire. But really looking forward to the results, and we'll say good luck. And I'll cut the feed off, but I'll talk to you off air.
Roger that.
All
Cheers.
right.